Okay, I'm going to move on to the next section, which is sales. First, we're going to start with orders. This section is where all of your orders will be kept. Any orders that are placed on your site will be reflected in this section. This section will only display a certain amount per page. Right now it's set to 20. You can set it for 30, 50, 100, 200. And it'll show you how many pages there are based on how many you have per page. So you could conceivably have thousands and thousands and thousands of orders here. You're able to search in this section by order number, bill to name, ship to name. You can also give it a search threshold, how much was purchased. You're looking for any order that's between $1,000 and $1,500. You could put that in here. You could also search by status. When you find the order that you're looking for in this section, you can click on the order. I'll just choose this one. You'll see a wealth of information on the Information tab. Also, something I wanted to note, not only do you have these tabs up here and drop downs here, you also have tabs to the left in each subsection. On the information screen, you can see the order number, address, customer name, shipping address, payment information. This is more of your snapshot of the order. Customers call in and speak with a customer service rep or an agent at your location if you permit that. This is where you're probably going to go, excuse me, when they call in and they want you to check on an order or review an order with them. They're going to present you with either just their name. They may give you their name and address. They may have the order number right in front of them. Again, you can search for all this information on the sales and then order screen. Here we have the comments history. The person calls in and they speak to a customer service agent, and you want to document or notate information on this particular order. You can add that here. Let's see here, invoices. A lot of what you'll find in this system is redundant, but the redundancy is very important because it allows you to get to the information quicker. So if somebody calls in and they have an invoice number, you're going to want to go to invoices. If they have shipping information, you may want to go to shipping first. These are all relational databases, so they all point to each other, and you'll see that as I go through the different sections. So here we have invoices you can look up in this section. Credit memos, same idea here. Shipment numbers, you can look up by the number or ship to name. You can also put in a date range. Rather than type the date, you can click on this icon here. It'll bring up a calendar so you can choose the date that you're looking for. It's very intuitive, similar to what you would see on a, I don't know, maybe an Expedia.com or a Priceline when you're picking vacation dates. You have this little icon here. And of course over here you have your search buttons. Now, let me move this out of the way. Somebody may call in and they may be a regular customer, and perhaps they order a particular product on a regular basis, in which case they order the same product, the same quantity, um, say every couple of weeks or every month, and maybe they call in. What's nice is when you look up their order, if they're ordering the same thing, rather than type all the information, you have all the information already populated because you've pulled up their previous order, for instance. You can use this reorder button here. That'll allow you to actually reorder this particular item. So if I go ahead and I click this, you'll see this individual has ordered 10 folding stair chairs. There's the SKU number for a total of $15,750. We already have his billing address and his shipping address. All the information's here because he's placed this order before. So it would behoove you just to check the information, make sure nothing truly has changed, and then you can go ahead and click Submit Order. So that makes things a lot easier. Let me just step back here. Another thing I want to show you is a customer may call in and they may say, you know, I lost my receipt, I placed this order, and maybe they're getting reimbursed by their insurance company, for instance. They need that invoice. They don't have it, they lost it. Generating another invoice, very easy. You can always click Invoice. If the invoice is in existence, you can just print it out for them and send it to them. Or if not, if they haven't been invoiced yet, you can go ahead and send that invoice if you're doing a manual order. Manual orders will require you to enter all information about the customer and their address the very first time. If they're a registered customer or they've ordered before, it's unnecessary because you can start a new order from an existing order, or if they're already in your system, then you already have their billing and their shipping address. And of course, I always recommend verifying all information before placing an order with a customer over the phone. This will probably be something that you use not necessarily on a regular basis because your website is designed to handle everything, you know, through the front end. So people shouldn't be calling you unless they really have questions about something, and that might be a lead-in to place the order over the phone rather than have them do it online. But 90% of the time, I would imagine they would just place their orders through the website. So this would just be for checking on an order for a customer, not necessarily placing order from scratch. But it may happen, or you may find the system useful if you have actual physical brick-and-mortar stores that they come into, and perhaps there's items that you don't have in-house and you want to place the order. You can place it through this system. So these are the different sections under orders that you can look at based on this particular order for this particular customer. So you see, same order, this is the information that you have at your fingertips. Now, remember I had mentioned there's other way to look up orders. This again is all redundant. You have your invoices, your shipments, credit memos, transactions. We do not visit reoccurring profiles. That's not part of this tutorial. Billing agreements, terms and conditions. These are different ways that you can look up a particular order. Now, under tax, this is not really a search term, more of a setup. Under tax, this is where you manage your tax rules for your respective states and where tax is applicable. In most cases, you're not going to have to charge tax. The only time that you're required to charge tax in most states is if the item is being bought and shipped to the same state. But please check your local tax laws to find out what is appropriate for you. But under this section, this is where you would manage your tax rules. You can see we have two sample tax rates that are already built into the back end. We have California's and New York's. You'll see the rate over here, 8.375 and 8.25. I don't know if that's still accurate, but this was placed in the back end. This is just default. You can remove, add these, and these are only going to apply if you're in these respective states. So let's say you're in Minnesota or New Jersey. You would have to add Minnesota or New Jersey, in which case you can add a new tax rule. You give a tax identifier. That's going to be its name, you know, NJ tax or PA tax or MN tax. Countries, obviously, the United States. You're going to pick your state. If there's a zip post range, which in a lot of cases is going to be no. I know some of you, this might be yes. But default is no, and default for zip postal code is just a star, because that'll just match any. Then you put in your percentage rate. You don't have to place the percentage sign. This field's already a percentage field, so if your tax is 6.25%, you put in 6.25, or if it's 4%, you put in 4. Once you've completed this section and you've put in your applicable tax rate, you just click Save Rate, and it will appear here underneath these two. Did anyone have questions regarding the sales section in general, or questions regarding the tax rules? Again, I'll wait approximately 1 minute to see if any questions appear. Otherwise, I'll continue and move on. Okay, I see a couple of questions here. I'm just going to answer them in the order they pop through. Okay, how do I enter? How do I enter? How do I enter the information about processing an order? Okay, I'm going to assume you were meaning placing an order from scratch. Is that correct? You can type yes if it is, or no if I'm wrong. Okay. I mean, let's say, okay, you have an order. You get an order. How do I write? Okay, okay. On the manual side, I see. I see. Okay. Yes. Okay. So somebody calls in and they wish to place an order. Okay, I'm going to go to Sales and Orders. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to click this orange button in the top right, Create New Order. Now, it's really beneficial to have the front end open as well. So let me just where is it? Your way, white label program, and that's the front end. Okay, it's a good idea to also have at all times, if you're running customer service center there and you're going to be answering phones on a regular basis, you definitely want to have this open, the back end to Magento, and you want the front end also to reference products. It'll just make things that much easier, especially if a customer has needs some help locating a product or placing an order. So under Create New Order, it's going to give you, first thing it's going to do is going to take you to the screen where it wants you to select a customer. Now, this is the demo database, so there's only a handful of customers here. They're not real, or they're actual clients that, just played around with the system. But in your case, eventually, this will be huge. It'll be a large database of customers. So you can look up the customer by any of these fields that you see across the top. So you can ask the customer for their name, or you can say, if they have a name like John Smith or something very common, you may want to ask them for their email or their telephone number. All these pieces of information can query that particular customer you're looking for. If they're not already in existence, then you can just click Create New Customer, which will take you to this screen here. And this is where you enter all of their information, their email, their billing, and their shipping address. Let's see here. Up here where it says group, I'm going to get into that when I get to the customer section, but you can group your customers in however many categories that you want. Right now, by default, there's general, wholesale, retailer, and institution, but you can add others if you deem necessary. But for the most part, you're just going to leave it general. Once this is filled out, you'll be able to, the customer will automatically be added to your back-end system and will be auto-selected for this order to be placed. So you can imagine once you've finished, it'll take you to, let me just go back here. Create new order. Okay. So imagine I just created a customer, and let's say it was Seth. So once you've added the customer, it'll take you to this screen. Or if you've selected it from that screen I just showed you, it'll take you here to place the order. Now, this particular customer that we're looking at actually has something on their wish list. This is not actually what they've ordered. This is just on their wish list. This will not be part of their order, unless, of course, you want to add it to the order. Otherwise, this was a poor example because it looks like his he doesn't have any. Let's see, does he? No, he doesn't have any addresses on file. But you can imagine this would already be filled out if this customer was added. At any rate, you want to add products to their order, so you're going to click on Add Products. And, well, there's 603 pages of products, so that's where this comes in handy. You want to find the product that they're looking for. Let's say they want the, what looks good? How about the P-Guard Splash Guard? So this is what they want. I'm going to cheat here and see, is it showing me the SKU number? Probably not until I add it to the cart. All right, I'll do it by title. I just copied the title and pasted it into product name. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. And it's not finding it now. Why is it not finding it? This is not showing me the SKU either. All right. that happens sometimes. Okay, there's its ID. If you're ever looking for something, um, that was a poor example of me to use all of these words. It's easier if you just use the first word or the last two words like splash guard or splash or P guard, but P guard, splash guard may not actually bring it up, even though that's the title. There might be a hidden space in there somewhere, or these things can prevent you from looking up a particular item. So I would just go ahead with putting in P guard, or just the first descriptor, first few words of that particular product. But this is what they're after. So this is the product that we're going to add, and here it shows you the price, and you select your quantity here. Say they want 3 of them, and then we add the selected product to the order. Okay, so now you see at the top, it shows you so far they've ordered SKU number 4976, the P guard, splash guard. There's 3 of them. They're 90.80 a piece, subtotal, the row subtotal, and there is, I kind of like this feature. You can, if the person has decided, well, I'm not going to get this today, but I'm going to come back and get it, you can move it to their wish list now that they have a profile in your system. Or if they're actually in their account and they've signed up online, or you've created the profile and they're logged in, you can actually move it to their shopping cart so they can see it. So this would be beneficial for a person who's actually ordering online who needs assistance, who's staring at the front end and needs some help tracking down an order or maybe adding an order to their shopping cart. So that's where these would come in. This would come in handy if you were wondering. But person calling in, not looking at the front end, wanting to order something, you want to go through all of these steps. Once all said and done, you're going to want to submit the order. You're also going to have to collect from them, their method of payment, which is down here. And this is where you put in their name, credit card type, credit card number, expiration date verification. And over here is where you're going to choose your shipping method. For the demo system, unfortunately, they haven't loaded any tables, so I can't show you FedEx or UPS, but rest assured in your respective systems, this would populate and give you myriad choices of shipping based on the current shipping tables provided by FedEx, UPS, United States Postal Service, etc. So that would be over here. That'll add to the total, and once you've reviewed the order with the customer, you can add any comments that you need to add. Customer called in requesting manual order or what have you. Then you can submit the order. Once the order is submitted, some things will happen on the back end. Customer will get an order confirmation through their email, and I'll get to that a little bit later. But I just wanted to thoroughly answer that question and show you how to place a manual order. Okay, now the next question, to scroll up, from Charles. We have a base tax in Florida, and each county adds to that base, so it's not the same for the entire state. I understand. It's kind of we do that here in Pennsylvania with like Philadelphia, although they don't explain it that way here. We're 6% in our state, but you go to a major city like Philadelphia, they add 1 extra percent, so it's 7 in Philadelphia, but 6 outside of Philadelphia. Let's see here. So you're asking specifically. Okay, so remember I mentioned zip code ranges? That's where the zip code range would come into play. You would have to add you would have to add every single range in Florida based on your taxing structure. So I know in Pennsylvania we only have like I think I want to say maybe two. We have Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. I'm not even sure about Pittsburgh because that's on the other side of my state. But Philadelphia is the only place I know where they're going to charge you another 1% that I'm aware of. So it's not too difficult for my state, but Florida, if it's like that for every single county, that that could be an issue. Just not an issue in the sense that it can't be done, just an issue in the sense it's going to be a little hard, little elbow grease there. You're going to have to add them all to the system. What's good is this is a question you may want to ask Complete Medical directly, and I'll tell you why. The letter of the law states that if you're doing business, if you have a physical presence in your state and somebody makes a purchase to that state, technically you may be required to collect tax. However, in other cases, if the warehouse that's actually fulfilling the order is not in your state, that may not be the case. It depends on your state. Taxes, the whole tax laws is very complicated from state to state, and I don't want to give you misinformation, but I will say from what I've been told and trained that the general rule is if you have a physical presence in your state and somebody places an order through your particular business, then and they live in that state and it's being sent to that state, then you're supposed to technically collect tax. That's what I'm supposed to say. But all of the specifics, I honestly don't know. I'm not a tax expert. Like I said, I would check directly with Complete because I know they've had experience with shipping to every single state that we have, so they probably would know better than I. I would check with them. But the system will allow you to add that tax base that you were speaking of, and then the additional tax based on county. You just have to put it in a zip code range. So I hopefully that partially answered your question, but specifically to if and when you collect that tax, you may want to speak to Complete about. Let's see here. We have 90 plus. Oh my. The nice thing about Magento is everything, I don't know if you recall earlier, I was stating how everything was a relational database. They all look at each other and point to each other. What's nice about Magento is on the back end that you can't see, that our programmers work with, we have the ability to upload tables, i.e. shipping tables, and zip code ranges for certain fields.